going on, people? Mitch here. Today we're going to be reacting to IGN's best PS2 games of all time. They have the top 25 games on this list, so I figured it'd be fun for us to check out the list, see where your favorite games might rank on the list, as well as some of mine. Of course, you guys do like this type of content, make sure you guys hit like down below. Of course, at the end, comment down below on what your favorite PlayStation 2 game was of all time. And of course, subscribe to the channel so that way you guys can catch each and every breakdown, website article, anything lists like this. So first thing I want to do before I look at the list, now of course you're going to see some of these already on there: Beyond Good of Evil, Bully, Burnout Revenge, all those are already on there, right? Now some of those I didn't play. Now that's okay, if I didn't play them, that's fine. I am going to list my top PlayStation 2 games that I feel are going to be on the list. If I had to take an educated guess, now here's the part that sucks, right? Are you talking about games that are only ever on PS2? Or are you just talking about games that were on the console? Because there's some third-party games that, of course, are amazing that happen to be on the console. So my list that I think for PS2 games, I think if they're going to put a Grand Theft Auto on there, I think they put 3, only because it started and revolutionized open world games and all that stuff. So Grand Theft Auto 3 is going to be on there. If I had to take a guess, I would say top 5, I would say. Me personally, I would have to say Burnout 3. Now, Burnout Revenge is right there, so I'm assuming they're going to put Revenge on there. I only like 3 because they had a better soundtrack. Burnout 3 soundtrack was pretty fucking awesome. I'm going to say Guitar Hero, because if I have to say a Guitar Hero, 2 or 3, I would say. I haven't seen anything on the list yet, right? So I don't know what's on here, but I would say 2 or 3 is probably on there, because those are definitely games. 1 was okay. 2 was where they started getting a lot better music and stuff. So I'm assuming 1 of the Guitar Hero, 2, 3 is obviously where the bands, that was like the big one where they bigger explosion. Rock Band came out, all that stuff. But I would say a Guitar Hero game has to be on the list. I honestly, if it were me, I would put Rock Band on there because I liked Rock Band a lot better myself. But I would say a Rock Band game or Guitar Hero game got to be on the list. I would say Tony Hawk would have to be on the list as well, even though the majority of like 1 and 2 are definitely the better ones. Tony Hawk 3 and 4 are pretty amazing. Underground is really good. After Underground is where it got weird, so I'm not sure where we would lie in that. I'm going to say a Guitar Hero Rock Band game for sure. A Grand Theft Auto, if anything, they're probably going to say 3. It has to be a top 5. It has to be. A Rock Band Guitar Hero game, Grand Theft Auto. A Tony Hawk game has to be on the list. Burnout, either 3 or Revenge. I think it's going to be Revenge because it's already on there. Battlefront. Okay, Jaws in the chat says Battlefront, Tokyo, Race Zero, Call of Duty, Big Red One. I think a Call of Duty game is going to be on there, but the bigger Call of Duty games didn't happen until Modern Warfare on 360. So that's why this is going to be an interesting list, because PS2 games, I mean, there's a lot of good PS2 games, but like obviously the Call of Duties blew up on 360 and PS3. So it's going to be interesting what they say. Metal Gear 3 is obviously on the list. It's obviously on the list. I wouldn't be surprised if that was number 1, because Metal Gear 3 is a phenomenal game. So I'm going to probably say that is on the list. But let's go ahead and dive in, and we'll dive into each game and talk about it and see where everybody thinks they should be. All right. So we're going to scroll down. Number 25, Guitar Hero 2. That makes a lot of sense. Guitar Hero 2 was the series at its best. Here's the thing I'll say. Guitar Hero 2 was the last game that Harmonix did before Activision got it and gave it to Neversoft, right? That's when 3 happened and all that. But like, I wouldn't say 2 is its best. 2 is the last game in the action rhythm sims that came out before every music publisher realized how much money there was in it. So Harmonix had the absolute pick of songs. I mean, 2 was good. Like 2 had like Jordan by Buckethead, which obviously that's like an ultimate Guitar Hero song. But like, I mean, I would say 3 and Rock Band were pretty awesome. I loved Rock Band. So that's not happening, Al, because we're doing a YouTube video. So you suck. You tend to do these all the time when I'm recording YouTube videos. Stop doing that shit. Number 2, Sly Cooper 2. Here's what I will admit. I never played any of the Sly Cooper games. I heard they were great. But that's one of those that there were so many PS2 games that I didn't play because I actually didn't get back into gaming until around 2004 when I graduated. So yeah, that's the only thing I'll say is that there's a lot of PS2 games. The Jack and Daxter games I didn't play a lot of. Sly Cooper, I never touched one. But again, like it's made by I'm gonna blank out here. It's definitely made by holy shit. One of the independent studios. San Diego. Santa Monica. No, I don't know. Which one? Rare. It's not made by Rare. Oh my God. I'm having a heart attack. Give me a second. Sly Cooper Studio. Why am I blanking on the name? Sucker Punch. Damn it. Sucker Punch is the same people that did Ghost of Tsushima. That's why there was a fucking slide thing in there. Damn it. We're fine. Okay. 23, Eco. Of course, everybody's going to say Shadow of the Colossus and Eco, but yeah. NBA Street Volume 2. That's not a bad pick. NBA, if anybody doesn't remember all the Street games, by the way, NFL Street, NBA Street, they were amazing. The only thing I would say though, NBA Street was pretty awesome, but the GameCube version had it is you could play as Mario. You could do dunks as Mario. It was pretty cool. So that's the only reason why I would say I wouldn't put it on like, if I preferred a version of NBA Street, I would say the GameCube version. That was definitely the one that had the better version of it. You know what I mean? So I would say that. Kingdom Hearts 2. Yes, Kingdom Hearts 2. That absolutely deserves to be on there. So Kingdom Hearts 2, obviously I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan. Kingdom Hearts 2, I would say, is the peak of that game series. 1 was great. 2 was awesome. The only thing that sucks about 2 is kind of going back and doing the worlds twice. That was the only part that I didn't necessarily like. So Kingdom Hearts 2, hated that game. Jaws in the chat says hated that game. Huh. Okay. Well, I'm very sorry you hated it. I actually liked it a lot. I actually have that as a scroll right there on my wall, but we won't talk about that. Tony Hawk Underground. I knew a Tony Hawk game would be here. Tony Hawk Underground for sure. That is definitely Tony Hawk Underground. I feel was like getting away from the arcade formula, being open world, create like anything you want. So yeah, I knew a Tony Hawk game would be on here. Tony Hawk Underground was great. Underground 2 is where shit started getting weird, right? Like it started becoming more like Bam and Jackass rather than just a skateboarding game. So like Tony Hawk 2 or Underground, I appreciate that. All the Kingdom Hearts games are so good. Thank you, Fisherman. That's exactly what I want to hear. Yeah, right here. While some of the mixed reactions from the community in story mode and seemingly Jackass inspired humor, Tony Hawk was the best pro skater in everything but name and then some. Yeah. Underground, yeah, whatever. Underground, Tony Hawk Underground's a great game. Like I said, that was the one that like I think was great before it started getting too weird, right? Like Tony Hawk Underground 2, you can ride as like a fucking mechanical bull with Steve-O, and it didn't make any sense at all. So yeah. 19, Disgaea, Disgaea, Hour of Darkness. I have to point out, I never played a Disgaea game. I'm sorry, I never played it. 18, Ratchet & Clank Arcade Arsenal. Heard that was a great game. I played a Ratchet & Clank more in the later PS4, PS5. I played the PS5 one. I have a full playthrough. Ratchet & Clank's fun. No complaints there. Again, like, I'm not going to say samey games, but like they're platformy. They're shooters. They're, you know, I mean, they're kind of normal stuff. I mean, I was going to say if you played one, you played all because the different guns made the games really fun. The story was really great. The graphics on the PS5 version, at least, were amazing. So, and of course, a first party Sony game, like it's going to be a really good experience on PS2. Beyond Good and Evil. This is one of those games that everybody and their mother loves and talks about. I never played it. I heard it was great. People have been waiting for a goddamn 15, 20 years. Was it 20 years probably? It's for the sequel. I'm sure people will like it, but also at the same time, I'm going to tell you this. Sequels that take 20 years to come out, you might be disappointed. You might be sad because that game was fun when you were a child, but then you're going to play it again later in life and it might not be as good. So yeah. Burnout Revenge. Here's the thing I'll say about Burnout. If you never played Burnout 3 or Revenge, they were incredible. The arcadiness of it, running the shit over, running cars off the road, running through things. It was fucking awesome. I won't even upset if the fact that Revenge is in here instead of 3, I'm not upset by that because Revenge took everything that 3 was awesome about and just made it better. I only personally preferred 3 because of the soundtrack. I love the sound. Burnout 3 soundtrack is actually on my Spotify list. It is top tier. Fucking, it's like so 2004 video game, but it is a great soundtrack. So yes, that is, yeah, right here. The last Burnout game that had crash mode which makes it all the more infuriating that no one has been able to capture the modes of magic and successfully replicate it since. Burnout's crash mode was fantastic. Fisherman in the chat, do I remember Midnight Club on PSP? Yes, I do. Midnight Club, it's funny because like Rockstar hasn't made a Midnight Club in a very long time. But at the same time, they're just printing money with GTA still. So GTA 5 is still making money, so can't complain. Psychonauts, yes, very fun game. Good platformer. Tim Schafer, crazy mind. Really good humor. If you haven't played that, check that out. Psychonauts 2 did come out on Xbox and PlayStation. I think it came out on all of the things. It's also on Game Pass. Also on the original Psychonauts, you can play on Game Pass as well. So definitely check that out if you're into weird, funny games, weird sense of humor games, but really good platforming. Check that out. Devil May Cry. I played the Devil May Cry games. I didn't get into them that much. I'm not saying they were bad. But I do know like they were the hack and slash stuff before, like I remember this came out. God of War was around the same time as well. But this is definitely, oh shit, I didn't even mentioned God of War. That's definitely going to be in the top 10. But yeah, Devil May Cry. I know a lot of people really like Devil May Cry 3. I know when I worked at the video game store, a lot of people were having a lot of fun with that. So yeah, definitely a fun game. Katamari Damacy. This was the weirdest fucking game that ever came out. Okay. So it came out. And like, no one knew what the hell this was. Okay. I'm going to move it so you can see it. No one knew what the hell this was. It was such a weird game, but it was a very fun game and very addictive game. Essentially, the whole game was you were a ball and you had to push this little ball around, and everything you rolled over, it picked up, and the ball would get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So where you're rolling stuff down and all of a sudden you're picking up little people, you're picking up cars, and then you start picking up buildings and light posts, and it was nuts. But it was very like just a fun game that you could just pick up and play. It wasn't like it was hard or anything. And it was just weird characters. Again, very weird Japanese style, like culture. And it was a very fun game though. Like I remember this coming out at the game store and a lot of people were like, what the hell is that? And then you put it in the demo and people played it for 10 minutes and they were just like, this is fun. It was just dumb fun. There was no like, nothing about it that just, you couldn't waste time on. You could just like, you didn't want anything hard. You just wanted to chill out, listen to music. You play this game. It was great. Jak 2. Again, the Jak and Daxter series, first party by Sony. That was made by Naughty Dog. Obviously they made fantastic stuff since then. But yeah, Jak 2 and 3, I've heard like people mixed emotions around them. But again, just Sony had, during this time, Sony had such great characters on their first party lineups, right? Microsoft, while he had like Master Chief, right? Nobody's shitting on that. But like Microsoft didn't have any other real like mascots other than Master Chief, really. So Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, like you had your first party Sony titles that were, and again, these were for everybody, right? They were fun. They had like on rails, like vehicle scenes. They had just shooting scenes. Like it was a really fun game. So definitely Jak and Daxter. I know they have collections on them, of course. I'm sure every one of these you could probably play on the PlayStation Plus Essentials library. So Al in the chat says Master Chief is the only one you need. It's very true. Halo was a huge deal. If Halo didn't exist, Xbox wouldn't be around. Let's just say that. No, thank you. I don't want to sign up for your best recommended. Bully. Another game I did not play. It's funny because when I think about this, for some reason, I think 360. I completely forgot this game came out on PS2. But essentially you played like an asshole and you were just running around being rude. And it was, of course, Rockstar's like, oh, we're just going to be Rockstar and we can literally do anything we want and people understand. Bully is a game where you fight back against bullying. Build social networks that connect various insular groups and where you are, in fact, punished for not attending class. So yeah, that was a game a lot of people liked. Unfortunately with Rockstar, I would say like Rockstar on their sequels, they just don't, I mean, I'm not saying Bully 2 wouldn't make money, but at the same time, it's like, can we make as much money as GTA? That's like every Rockstar meeting, I would say, unfortunately. So that's kind of the problem. Number 10, God of War, of course. First God of War was phenomenal. Great puzzles, great action, fun. They had that was like, this is very different than the other God of War that we play today, right? So this God of War was all about the combos, which is very much in tune with like Devil May Cry. But like, I remember this coming out, and again, it was a first party Sony title. And I was just like, this is fucking cool. It's just different. It was very different. The first demo I remember being played quite a bit. A lot of people really like this game, and obviously the new God of Wars are phenomenal. But that's the thing too, is like if you like the God of Wars you're playing now, it is not. I mean, similar as far as the hack and slash part of it, right? But it seems like that was like a lot of it. Whereas like the storytelling, it's still in the game, but it's not as prevalent. Like it's just God of War on the PS2 and the PS. It's like God of War 1, 2, and 3 are definitely different games than the new God of Wars, but not in a bad way. They're all very good games. Okami. A lot of people really like the art style. This was cell shading. Here's the crazy part. A lot of people thought cell shading was shit. Like when Zelda Wind Waker came out and it looked like that, people were mad. But now later in life with different art styles, like people appreciate it more. Definitely Okami. Very, very cool game. Didn't play it as much, played a demo of it, but I know a lot of people very much like it. Final Fantasy X. Obviously, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9 on PS2 or PS1 were huge deals. So when 10 came out, it actually was good. It actually looked really nice. The graphics of it were really good. And it helped, like, that's one of those games, like, I'm not going to say the other Final Fantasies aren't as important, but like, I feel like the PS1, PS2 era Final Fantasies were definitely the ones that were more beloved. Of course, they actually made 10-2, which is funny. Not 12, 10-2, the sequel to Final Fantasy X. Don't get confused for 12. So yeah, I mean, and then they also made another one, another branch off of Final Fantasy X. So yeah, definitely understand that being on the list. Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill is literally terrifying shit. It's terrifying. It's Silent Hill 1. I remember Silent Hill 1 on PS1. It was the one game I couldn't beat without a strategy guide. There was like one fucking puzzle that I just could not figure out. And I don't know why. We looked everywhere, looked under everything to try to figure it out, and we just couldn't. So Silent Hill 2, though, obviously a lot of people like Silent Hill, and it sucks because like obviously PT was going to happen, and then Konami decided to shut that down as well as Kojima, but it's all good. Silent Hill 2, though, I know a lot of people like it. They're making the remake of Silent Hill 2 exclusive to PlayStation, which sucks for us Xbox people, but it's all good. Number 6, Metal Gear 2? Really? I wonder if Metal Gear 3 will be on the list then. I'm not saying 2 sucked, right? But 2 was definitely, like, I remember the first mission of it, you play as Snake, and then all of a sudden, playing as Raiden, not playing as Snake. And it was so weird because everybody was like, I played as Snake the whole first game. Why am I not playing as Snake now? So that was definitely, I remember people were kind of divisive on it at first, but then obviously people enjoyed it. I'm just surprised 2 is on the list. Because like, okay, let me rephrase that. I'm not surprised 2 is on the list. I'm just surprised that 2 is on the list if this is the only Metal Gear game. Because people love Metal Gear 3. It's gotten fucking 10 out of 10s from so many people. All the remakes of it on PSP got like great reviews. I'm just shocked if this is the one that they have on there over Metal Gear 3. That's weird. If that's the only one. I could be wrong. I could be going down the list more and I see Metal Gear 3, but that's fine. Vice City. Yeah. Vice City was amazing. Everybody loved 3. See, here's what I thought. Okay. 3 may have revolutionized. Okay. Here's the exact quote from IGN. 3 might have revolutionized the open world with its third-person 3D third-person perspective, but it was 2002 sequel that took the concept and perfected it. I'm not going to lie. Vice City was PS2, yes. 3, Vice City, and San Andreas were all PS2. Vice City's awesome. Like, there's no problem with it. Which obviously the big rumor is like Vice City or Miami Vice City is going to be the rumored area for 6 whenever that comes out. Which, by the way, I really hope 6 comes out soon because I really like GTA games. They're really fun. The cast, yeah, Ray Liotta, Dennis Hopper, and Burt fucking Reynolds. Yeah. You got some bangers for the fucking that. Ray Liotta was the main character of the game. And I mean, you can't argue with Vice City. It's weird because like, here's the thing. Like, do you start thinking what changed the game as far as like, cause obviously Grand Theft Auto 3 changed the game for open world, right? Vice City, better story, but had more characters and stuff. Sure. Graphics were better. They had motorcycles in Vice City, which they didn't have motorcycles in GTA 3. So like, I get it. It's just weird. I wonder why. I mean, maybe they just chose 3 or Vice City because it had a better story. San Andreas, I won't shit on San Andreas, but there was a lot to do in San Andreas, and to a point, almost too much. Like, you could work out, you could eat, you can get fat. Like, it was just a lot, right? So I don't know if maybe they didn't do it that, but if this is the only Grand Theft Auto, again, I'm not upset. Number 4, Resident Evil 4. You're goddamn right. Here's what I'll say, though. Resident Evil 4 was originally a GameCube exclusive for 1 year. When I think about Resident Evil 4, I think of GameCube. Okay? I'll point that out. The PS2 version, though, came out a year later. It had a year exclusivity on GameCube. It came out on PS2, and it was fucking beautiful. It looked better. It had some extra shit in there. But Resident Evil 4 is legit one of my top 5 games I've ever fucking played. And yes, there's a remake coming out this year, 2023. Cannot fucking wait for that. Because Resident Evil 4 now, the gameplay now, if you played 4 right now, it would hold up. And, you know, some games you play, like, they kind of suck because they don't have the like, for example, I know Jaws already hates this. Kingdom Hearts 1, the camera is fucking trash. It's trash. It's really bad. I love the game, but the camera's trash. I tried to play the 1.5 remake that they had come out on PS3 and PS4. The camera's so fucking bad, right? So now games have gotten better. Cameras have gotten better. These things, all these things have gotten better. If they just took Resident Evil 4 and put a shiny 4K code on it, I'd buy it again. I don't give a shit. It's one of the best games I've ever played in my life. I played and beat that game probably 4 or 5 times the week it came out. Like, I just wanted to play more of it. It was the best Resident Evil by far. It changed the entire series. Instead of just being your fixed camera, going through a door with load screens, it was right behind Leon. That is an amazing game. I appreciate it being on this list. Although I think of it as a GameCube game. Number 3, Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah. Shadow of the Colossus. Huge game. Amazing game. Definitely a different type of game than people were like. Of course, if you liked Eco, you played Shadow. You love Shadow of the Colossus. Figuring out how to climb each of these fucking giant things. The story of it, the graphics, the music, everything was awesome. So yes, I agree. Shadow of the Colossus, top 3. Thank you. This is the first, by the way, this is the first game that's on this list that's on there for the same series twice. Metal Gear 3 was crazy. It had, again, here's the thing. It started getting to that point of like the realism, because this and San Andreas came out the same year. So like you had to eat food. If you got hungry, you had to like eat food. You had different camouflages you can do. The boss fights in this game were amazing. Like Metal Gear 3 is peak Metal Gear, in my opinion. Metal Gear 1 obviously changed the game as far as like showing a story. The characters and everything in Metal Gear 1's phenomenal. Here's the thing. I'm weirded out that 3's on here and 2's on here. I'm not saying 2 doesn't deserve to be on here, but I'm just kind of weirded out that like both these are on here, which leads me to believe that number 1, if it's not Shadow or Metal Gear, number 1 is probably Grand Theft Auto 3. Maybe. It's probably a Grand Theft Auto game is number 1. But yeah, like everything about Metal Gear 3 was phenomenal. The story of it, like that, the end scene with him doing the salute, like beautiful game. Anybody in the chat want to take a guess at what number 1 is before I scroll down? It has to be a Grand Theft Auto. If they're going to have 2 Metal Gear games on here, they're going to have to say a Grand Theft Auto game is on here twice. I could be wrong. COD, it's not COD. I'm telling you, COD didn't get super awesome until fucking Xbox 360 and PS3. People will not give a shit about that until those series comes out. I know it's on PS2, right? We know that, but it was not the fucking Call of Duty of like today, right? I'm going to have to guess. Hold on. Okay, let's legit think. We have Metal Gears on here. We have Silent Hill. We have Resident Evil. We have, okay. It's got to be a Grand Theft Auto game. It's got to be. Drum roll. Let's see. San Andreas. Yeah. San Andreas was literally a culture. Like when I worked at the video game store, San Andreas came out and like people fucking quit. Like they left their work. They took week off to go play it. And yeah, like this, imagine, by the way, this being a PS2 game was nuts. Nuts. It had 3 separate areas, right? It was, again, all the shit you can do is nuts. The story, of course, the meme is always still there. Oh shit, here we go again. Like that is still there. But yeah, like for example, right here, San Andreas also introduced RPG and survival elements into the series for the first time, like tracking what CJ ate or how much he worked out and adjusting his abilities accordingly. I remember that because you could get swole as fuck right? And you would have more like melee strength, or you could be fat and have less stamina to run. I remember those things. However, that's where I felt like it went too much. And obviously, it wasn't in any other GTA after that, right? 4 didn't have eating or weightlifting or any of that. 5 didn't. I think like this was, let's just see how much shit we can do in one game. And I mean, they did a lot, dude. They had, I remember bikes, like bicycles. People were freaking out. I think Vice City was better. See, here's the thing is like, that's the toss up because like Vice City could have had a better story, right? It could have had better voice actors, but I remember Samuel L. Jackson was in San Andreas, so a lot of people love that. He played the cop, if everybody doesn't know. But this, and like, yeah, right here. CJ and his cohorts surviving gang shootouts, high-speed chases, and frantic, sprawling heists on foot or in dozens of different vehicles. That was the thing, like I said, like it just got, 3 was like, let's see if we can do it. Vice City was like, let's see if we can make it better. And then San Andreas was like, we're going to push this damn system and this game to its absolute limits. So I'm not upset that there's 2 Grand Theft Auto and Metal Gear games. I'm not upset by that. I definitely feel like those are definitely 2 games. So the best part is now is, of course, you can enjoy a lot of these games now on the newer consoles. Again, the one thing I'll tell you, some of these games, certain elements they've gotten better at now. So, you know, you might play San Andreas and you're like, oh man, this camera is weird or this gameplay is weird. Again, back in the day on PS2, these were groundbreaking. I'm not upset by this top 5. I'm really not. It's the only thing that's weird to me is that the 2 in the top 5, 2 of them are Grand Theft Auto games. That's the only thing that's like, and again, I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but I just feel like it's weird that there's 2 Grand Theft Auto games in the top 5. Top 10, sure. Top 5, what would I change in this list? I think, that's a good question. I think Final Fantasy X probably would have been like maybe in the top 5 as far as just giving it some diversity as far as like 2 Grand Theft Auto games not being in the top 5. Number 9, Okami. Okami's a great game. I think Okami's kind of where it's at, and I think that's not bad. I don't think any of these games necessarily are like so far down the list. Obviously, everybody has nostalgia, right? So like, for example, me, I have way more nostalgia. Like I played a lot of Guitar Hero. Now I played a lot of Guitar Hero though. I'm PS1 and PS2, but then when the 360 version of Guitar Hero 2 came out, I was on that immediately, right? So I'm glad that they gave this game some respect on this list, right? I think they covered pretty much everything. I mean, comment down below if there's a game that's not on this list that you feel should be on there, because I feel for the most part, every genre was represented, right? There's no sports games on here. You could say Tony Hawk's a sports game, but there's no Madden or any of those. And you could argue like the best Madden that's come out was Madden 2004, or you could say the best FIFA game was this. You know, I remember Madden 2004. A lot of people like that. Michael Vick was, I think it was the Vic cover. Michael Vick was insane in that one. So, I mean, that's the only thing that's kind of odd. I appreciate them putting, like I said, a good mix of genres in this list. To me, but again, these are all personal biases, right? I played a ton of Tony Hawk. I played Kingdom Hearts a lot. I played Guitar Hero and Burnout a lot. So I feel like some of those could have been higher. If it was my personal list, they would be a little bit higher. Because again, some of these games, while they're great, like Bully, I didn't play Bully, okay? So like, I know they had a remake come out for it, I believe on 360. And again, a lot of these games you can pick up now. Like a lot of these games have remakes or at least ported versions on your new consoles. So if you guys haven't checked out any of these games, I know Silent Hill 2 is getting a remake. Resident Evil 4 is getting an HD remake. So yeah, I mean, obviously the new God of War, it's a different type of game, but you could still check that out. So make sure you guys do check out some of these games if you guys can play them on your not local consoles, but your current consoles, I should say. Make sure you guys do this. Okay, so here's the top. Okay, I don't agree with this at all. Top 10 PS2 games as voted by our readers. I apologize, but I'm sorry. There's no way God of War 1 and 2 are better than San Andreas or Metal Gear 3. No fucking way. Unfortunately, I think this list falls victim to current trends of how God of War is like amazing. Everybody loves God of War and God of War Ragnarok on PS4 and 5. Like I totally get that. There's no shot God of War is a better game than Metal Gear 3 or San Andreas or Vice City. No shot. in my opinion. I just think especially God of War 2. I'm not saying 2's bad, but it's just a lot of the same shit from God of War 1. I remember God of War 2 being like the last like swan song game for PS2. That was like the last game that Sony put out that was like, here's all we got on PS2. Here's all the graphics we can push on this bitch. And then they went over to PS3. But I'm sorry, readers of IGN. I don't think this list is cool. I think this list is kind of like, there's no way 2 God of War should be 1 and 2. That's because of God of War now. Simple. But they're not even the same type of game. Like it's definitely a different type of game than it was back then. So I don't agree with that. 2 over 3. That you can argue about. I still think 3 is better. 3 is just overall better story and better, more options with Snake. I think that was better. Resident Evil 4 absolutely belongs on the list. See right here. Jaws, they have Vice City over San Andreas. So yeah, like people prefer Vice City over San Andreas. Those are the 2 that I feel you can flip-flop, right? There's no real like either one of those, you literally, depending on who you talk to, you can flip-flop on those. Shadow of the Colossus, Grand Theft Auto 3, Devil May Cry 3. I can't agree with these 2 though. I'm sorry. Metal Gear 3 and Vice City or San Andreas are better than God of War 1 and 2. On PS2, God of War on PS4, completely different game, way more story-based, way more focused on the characters and the narrative. I cannot agree with your readers, IGN. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Of course, thank you guys so much for checking out the video. Make sure you guys hit like down below if you guys do like this type of content. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you guys can catch all of this content. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next time.